Who's the chair in 2022?
That would be after May, be Dwight.
Okay. Oh, so it's not after May, not
After town meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it for another extra couple months. Because Bob had the idea of moving the.
When I was in, I cut a month off mine, so I didn't.
Really?
We moved the vote up.
Oh, really?
From June to May. So do you guys, that's an automatic, usually?
Yeah, usually it's.
You did too, but yeah, so I gotta change all the paperwork, so that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, because it's usually the person's last term, last year of his term. That's usually how it works. This year was different because this year should have been Gary, but he resigned and Bob took over, and we didn't feel it was right for him to step right into it, you know. And
You read that?
yeah. I think I made that up. I stole it from somebody else. Vinyl even. I stole that with vinyl even.
Was that what it was?
Yeah.
I could have sworn it was from someplace in the answer.
Maybe it was bits and pieces from the answer. Just something says in here.
I think we all copy each other's stuff anyway.
Yeah.
It is in here somewhere, that it's a vote. Make sure I do that.
Yeah. I can't find it. All right, okay. All right, all is in order. First thing on here is to review and approve January 11th, 2022 warrant.
Minutes, sorry, it's a typo.
You got warrants down there twice.
Minutes first.
Do the minutes first.
I move that we, approve the minutes of the last meeting as written.
Now second it, all in favor? Just on that one, okay. So do you approve of the minutes?
I think I better abstain, because I don't know nothing about them. I want to have the last meeting.
Oh, okay. You're right. All right, next thing is review and approve January 25th, 2022's warrant.
Move that we approve the warrants.
I second it. You approve, Dwight?
I think I better abstain on this one, too.
Okay, just for the record. So it looks like we do sign this one, but you.
To know what that's about first.
Okay, I've got a pretty good idea, but.
Yeah, that's, it's not part of the normal warrant.
I don't know if there's something separate that all of a sudden, like she forgot and then.
Can approve it today when we were talking.
Okay. Dwight, we got your checks here. You want me to spend it for you?
What's that now?
I got your check here. Do you want me to spend it for you?
Yeah, you can send it to me if you want them.
No, I said spend it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got witnesses here. Okay,
Bonnie will be up around and pick it up.
okay, I'll leave it with Deb.
Okay.
What do you expect?
Alright, Ben, you're up, what you got for us?
Mind if I bring a chair over? Be here a bit. That way I'll be close enough for Dwight to hear as well.
Yeah, okay.
How you doing, Dwight?
I've had days I've done better, Ben, but I'll make it.
All right, I got a little cheat sheet trying to keep me on task. So I have brought up the maps for 2021. Just handed those to Danielle, so she's got those over there. So you get yourself 11 by 17 and the 24 by 36 large and small.
Okay.
Just to bring you up to date, you guys sent a check to begin online representation by vision.
Yeah.
So they're working on that. They've grabbed the data off from our servers already. I'm just waiting to hear back when and how. I do have an email that I can actually give you guys a copy. Basically, just nothing. It's just showing that I reached out to them. This is conversations we've been having, but how long before you're going to be able to see it, and they don't know yet.
Okay.
So they'll let me know, but they are working on it.
Yeah.
Part of that was also, I don't know if you knew it, saw it, purposely wanted it, but I made a decision for you, kinda, was that the GIS can be hosted by them as well. So it will have a map it function. So if you go on Vision Online, pick Maine, look at some other towns, you'll be able to see what it would look like. We can sit down sometime, I can even show you, but
Yeah.
I think Falmouth, I believe, actually has the map it. And you can, it's kind of neat because it will bring you up to the GIS shapefiles.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're looking for your property, you can type in your map and lot and bring it right there on the, so all one stop. You can sit there online, you can see what, okay, this is my assessment, this is what they have, this is what the tax map looks like. So it's kind of a neat function, there was no additional cost. I'm like, yeah, do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think once we get it up and going, I could probably run Danielle through it. I mean, or if you wanted to look at it up here in the meeting, just let me know, whatever, but we'll walk through how that would work.
There was some concern when we brought this up before about privacy. Anybody can go on and look at somebody else's property? Okay. That's
Public
kind of
information.
Public information.
So I'll go one step further because of everything's been going on in the country. So police officers, judges, federal judges have had all the requests. I cannot take it off the assessment roll. It's out there, it's out there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so there's no law in place that allows the assessor to remove it. And we've had the request all the way right up, like I said, federal judge. Nothing I can do.
Okay.
I think the topic we had the other day, though, was about putting the property record cards online, and you
Yeah.
recommended that we not.
Those are gonna be the PDFs, you're not gonna need it. That's why, basically what you're gonna have is a printable version of the same thing, just in a different format. So, it was gonna cost you extra money to do that too.
Oh, yes, yes.
So,
Yeah, it was
Wasn't gonna be-
$425 per.
Yes, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
per year, if you will, or however time,
For
many times you
an
use it.
instance, well, I understood it as.
An instance is the math, it's the math, it'll be the whole, all of them.
You go per person looking something up.
Yeah.
No, my
I'm not
assumption
sure I
is,
took it.
if I go look at the property record cards today, I'll see one thing, but if I go in 6 months, I might see something different on some.
You won't, in some, yes, and what I'm sticking to, and we've done down there is, I mean, all my towns, when you go online, it's gonna be a static database. So when you actually see what you're gonna see, you haven't got it yet, but when you actually see that, it's gonna stay static to what the commitment was. So some towns wanna push, and you can update it every week if you wanted to, with the new owners, things like that. We're not, so if a house sells July, it's gonna stay in the former owner's name because of the commitment, So I think that was probably what they were offering, is you get PDF updates quarterly, whatever you wanna do, and you pay that $4.25 every time.
Yep.
All right. One other thing before I forget, because I didn't put it on the list, that I just want to make you guys aware of, I was thinking on the way up here. So there's been a discussion between myself and the assessor for Standish about campground sites at Acres of Wildlife.
Okay.
got a dispute over possibly 4, I mean, dispute's a pretty strong word, it's about 4 sites that, he's saying is in Standish, we're saying it's in Baldwin. Been back and forth with him since last summer. I brought it up recently again, because here we go around on the roller coaster again. So I brought him into a conversation. My point of view, I told him I'd bring it up, he's kind of backed down at this point, is there is no, town line marker out there.
Right.
I've asked
Yeah.
the campground owners. There's no trees marked, there's no survey line of any kind that I can walk out there and say, this is where the town line is.
Yeah.
So I have to, as I said to him, I'm not a licensed surveyor, so therefore I have to go by what the campground owner is telling me, which sites are in which town. He hasn't gone that far, he hasn't gone into that conversation with them. My recommendation is if he does, he can bring up his points rather to me, because he hasn't really made a good point for these 4 sites. Why would I change it? If the campground owner's saying these are in Baldwin and these were in Standish, that's what I'm gonna go with.
This had a survey.
Yeah, what the difference is too, because you've got, the map we got was from you guys when we first took on.
Right, yeah.
From planning board.
Because we gave it to Renee,
And I think theirs is different, so he's saying, this is what the map shows.
Theirs is different? That's what we got it from.
Okay, so he's telling me, well, one map he's showing me is different, they got different date on it. Ours is more recent, I think ours is a septic design, he was saying, possibly. But like I'm trying to tell him, what's submitted for sites especially, may not be what's actually out there in person. You know, if you're talking 30 feet, that's, well, that site's on my town or whatever. I don't care, you're more than happy to have them, you know what I mean? But he hasn't made a good argument as far as I'm concerned. So go back to your campground owner, and the owner of the property who's telling us, because Renee and I, when we went out there the first time, you know, just started, okay, well, here's this one. So we started taking down the information, and one of the personnel came over and said, no, that's in Standish, the line runs right down through here. So she and I were the first 2 to know, this is where it is, these are in Baldwin, gotta go with what the campground's telling us.
Okay.
So, just wanted you guys, if you hear something rumbling, that's part of that conversation.
All right.
Abatement. So, kind of goes twofold with your request for the email that came up today, this afternoon. So I got that here, if it's all right, we'll discuss that one afterwards, do the abatement first. So, it's not very pen, you go. So where this one's gonna get a little deeper, let's start right back with the whole request. There's quite a little letter written why, this property was requesting abatement. This property, was originally one of the properties, 2 properties rather, that were tied together, previously in the town. The issues we've had about, properties that should be assessed separately. We've untied a lot of those. The ones we could not untangle, we passed back to you guys, said you're gonna have to get a title abstractor to dig into these. I believe some of them you have.
Yeah.
I haven't heard any more from that, but.
That pile's up.
Yeah. Yeah, we did our best.
That
you know,
information, it's on my desk over there.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you wanna read this, but what I kinda did was highlighted points that I thought was important, a little bit back and forth in places, but these are the points I addressed. I am recommending a denial of abatement. We, last year for the first time, were able to untangle this into 2 separate parcels. That's how the deed read, was
Yeah.
2 separate parcels.
Yeah.
I know you had email conversations, so I wasn't sure how deep you went with that.
I think I've seen this before, wasn't it? Okay, so this was the original request to.
For the abatement.
Right?
But
This is
what's attached with that. First I've seen it.
yeah, but I guess what I didn't really understand. One time it's for a different real trust, but it changed over years ago.
Yeah, it's quite a, I don't, yeah, he had me a little confused on there. He's going back and forth with different trust names, you know. I did snip it, I don't think I brought it with me. In the registry, you can see where it went back and forth a few different times. the end result was, I think what he's getting to is that he complains that of the spelling, where it should have been, am I okay to say the
Trust
name?
one or trust two, or?
Am I okay to say the name, or, okay, because they typically try not to, but
Yeah.
Isaac's Main Realty Trust. So in, Vision, it was put in as Isaac's M.E. Realty Trust. Okay, well, that wasn't us. That's how we inherited it from O'Donnell's, which I have their original card.
Okay.
The difference in how it kind of popped up this year is because this year was the year that we separated parcel number 2 out of it, if you will. So when a member of my staff put it in, they put it in as the Isaac's Main, spelled out like it's supposed to be, according to the deed, Realty Trust, but he had going into Realty Trust number 1 from Realty Trust number 2. So yes, there was some confusion in my office as to, I can understand why when I read the deed, which I have here. They labeled it Realty Trust number 2. So that's who received it.
Yeah.
So that's, right, that's the grantee. So, down here, it says something about meaning and transfer the interest from Realty Trust number 2 to Trust number 2, but it's going to 1. So I think somebody misinterpreted this part and then put in the main Realty, Isaac's Main Realty Trust 2 as the owner.
Yeah.
So it's a typo, more type of thing, in my opinion. Both, that's his first thing, I don't know if you want to, you're gonna see that letter or not. I'm gonna refer back to that, and highlight the points anyway. To me, that was his first point, is the fact that deed prior tax bill show it is owned by, the Isaac's M.E. Realty Trust, you know, that would be the reason why it was over assessed. Got nothing to do with assessed value. But I wanted to also show you, because of I'm gonna take it as a typo, we've corrected it now in the system. Title 36-504, basically says, nor shall any error, mistake, or omission by the assessors, tax collector, or treasurer render an assessment void. So that's where I'm gonna stand on that. As far as the spellings, you mentioned the M.E. versus the main.
Yeah. Okay.
So, there's several issues that he cites there. So what I did in the denial letter, which you're welcome to have right in front of you, is I cited each one of them, addressed each one of them, excuse me,
Okay.
as best as I could. So the reason I'm recommending denial is the taxpayer cited issues that the trust name was incorrectly spelled. This issue does not render the assessment void. See Title 36, Section 504. Taxpayer in his letter admits to the existence of 2 separate lots. Separate lots are to be assessed separately unless, typically, by ordinance, the lots are non-conforming and in the same ownership. He cites in there that he was told by the town that, or his attorney and whoever, previous assessors, assessing agents, that if he put them in the same name, then they would have been combined, which they did. But that doesn't work that way. I get some bad advice. So we need to assess them separately. All known previously combined parcels across the town have been untangled, so he cites that. You know, he knows that there's some that we haven't been able to untangle, so therefore, you know, looking at the equity thing, if you haven't untangled them, then I'd like to have mine put back. Can't do that. We can untangle it, you know. So I'm addressing that fact that, you know, all that we are able to untangle have been untangled, and any that we couldn't have been listed with you guys for title abstractor to continue going forward with the goal of separation. So in my opinion, the taxpayers' parcels are assessed correctly for 2021. So they'll stand the way that they were for 2021. They will also, let me also address the fact that we're looking at your 6-month commitment. What we're gonna go forward on that for this 6-month transition time period is going to be based off your April 1st, 2021 date. So that will also stand for this upcoming bill, half bill that he's gonna get, okay? No changes until April 1st, 2022.
Okay.
And that will be for your 22, 23, your first year that you're doing a fiscal.
Yep.
Okay? And I say that because based off his email that you sent over.
Right.
So, we'll look at that trustee's deed. I read down through it, the main part of that would be the attorney's language on the end there. The purpose is to basically make two parcels into one, you know. It's loosely not the best writing I've seen. If you guys are good with it, I'm good with it. Deeds are tough up here, so I mean, to a degree.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'd love, perfect world, I'd love to have a survey, show me exactly what's what, you know what I mean, but
Yeah.
Right.
realistically, his deed reads seriously to the rock down on the river next to the stick. You know, I mean, seriously, I'm reading like, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's loose, but I'll accept it that way if you guys are good with it. We move forward for 22, 23, and I'll combine it back.
Okay.
You want both of these signed?
Yes, please, actually, I'll give you all three.
No.
Yeah, we'll keep one, I'll keep one, and one goes after.
Are you sending that then, or are we?
I always do.
Yeah, you go 27 paces due north and then turn west and.
Oh my God, what's that?
There's a pin in the rock in the middle of the stream.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you know, they're always got the old, next to Old Farmer Joe's, you know, whoever, and we don't know who that is, you know, best we can.
Isn't that why,
The old pine tree.
isn't that why it's illegal to move stone walls? Because a lot of these are based on stone walls.
Could very well be, yeah. All right, so, I got a bunch of other information here that all went with that. That's good, so.
Okay.
Well, I also brought that, so you could see the tax maps, that's how we've got them on the tax map.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's in yellow there.
Yeah.
I will tell him to watch the tape.
Yeah.
Or call me, that'd be a good one too.
Yeah.
If he needs to, I'm more than happy, I've had a discussion with him already, so.
This was my original, hesitancy with the whole thing though. Look at the shape of that.
Yeah,
It's designed to keep road frontage,
yeah, right.
so.
Well, the end result is,
See it?
I didn't notice that.
They want to keep the.
Oh, we did, yeah.
and I can't determine it to be non-buildable.
Right.
I would go to the gentleman sitting right over there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright,
You need that.
so, yep.
You want that?
That one, you can keep that. Okay. Let's go, I'm gonna jump on my little list here if I may. What I also brought you guys was, where we stand for abatements, you know, at this point. That's copy for you, so. So we break it down by real property, commercial, you know, residential, real, commercial, real, and then personal property abatements that we've granted. So the year-to-date, abatements have totaled, $565,700 in valuation, with a taxable amount of $7,354.10 abated.
Mhm.
So basically, it's slowed down enough at this point in time, and the last two have denied. I'm able to draw a little line in the sand. We still have a few more days until 185 days runs out on the last commitment, before we do another commitment and start another 185 days on that. So I'm able to draw a line in the sand. My goal is to, you know, Deb's doing the audit, I believe, or if she's not, she's prepping for it and whatnot. We've talked, I'm shooting for March, pull the trigger on the
Yeah.
commitment.
Yeah.
But I do have paperwork for you guys that maybe we can determine how much overlay, what mill rate we're looking at. So there's a couple things that, numbers are staying the same except for the abatements. So basically, you know, I've made my adjustments in Vision, I'll make sure that she's got the same adjustments made on her end, the numbers need to agree. Personal property pretty much stays the same. I have been in contact with Maine Revenue, so what I've been told is reimbursements for homesteads and Betty will continue based on the 6 month, so we should be all set there. I don't know what the county tax is gonna be, what the proposed is gonna be, so that may be something you guys may wanna reach out. I don't know if there's gonna be an increase. I think honestly, even going back just a week ago, better I did this, but I believe I cut it in half and then added like 3%, just to fudge the numbers, just to see where it ends up. So you got a couple things, these in red here, are still variables. Education, I also wanna double check with Deb. I can give you this, what I've done is each of these has a different mill rate. So when you get down here, this is $6.30 is proposed on this one. That one's $6.40. Your overlay is down in the bottom corner, the overlay changes. So that's only providing you, so $6.30 is only providing $1,500 worth of overlay. That one's providing $19,000, which I think is too high. I think this one's too low. Oh, guess what I got? Yeah, medium. So, $635 is what I was proposing. I mean, you can do anything you want anywhere between, but that will give you $10,000 on overlay for any round of abatements that maybe somebody didn't catch on to something this last 6 months, the last 6 months, that they may pick up on. We may still have to factor some sort of abatements.
Okay.
You don't use it, goes into your restricted fund balance.
And when do you need to finalize these numbers?
Whenever you're ready. I mean, that will allow me to go forward with the paperwork, but if you wanted to talk about it, discuss it, that's fine. You get a couple little variables here, it's gonna fluctuate slightly, all it's gonna do is affect your overlay, but you get the general idea where you'll be.
I thought we had a number for county tax. Have you heard that the county's now switching
To fiscal?
to physical?
Yeah, we've been trying, COVID hit, they were supposed to done it a couple of years ago.
I thought they were already there, but
Yeah.
it says they're doing it, but they're going with it 18 months,
Okay. That's,
and they've got some weird.
I can reach out to them up there, but I figure you might wanna do it and then forward to me. That's how I would prefer, I guess, even though I'm down there.
There was an email, do you remember that, Danielle? I'll have to look and see what's in it.
Yeah, that could very well change that number, yeah. Okay. Yeah, okay, that's just a substantiating stuff behind it to get to the valuation where we're at. What I also put down here is, just so you guys could see, the difference in the mill rate. You can see what it's gonna provide you for overlay.
Right.
Big difference.
Yep.
But the difference for a $200,000 home, basically is only changing it by, I believe it's $10 for a 6-month period.
Yeah.
So the taxpayer only sees a $10 difference, whichever one you chose.
Yeah.
So, really, if you were to go here and say, well, let's cut this down, you're not really gonna save the taxpayer much, is what I'm going.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, if you wanted to, take a vote and say, yeah, generally, that's what our overlay, what we're looking at, then we can, I can come up with one set of documents, this is what I'm at. Yep.
Good.
We'll keep that.
I think that works about what we came up with when, we first did it, when we did the budget.
Yeah.
I think we put a $15,000 number in there,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it came up close to 6.5, which.
Yep, makes sense, yep. Not knowing all the numbers, yep.
Thank you.
No, let's talk about personal property. I was hoping that was it. So, I was pushing the time clock down there, I apologize, I did not get it done to the degree I wanted to get it done, so this one, I call it a preliminary meeting on the personal property questions that you had. I started, I got a good packet going, but not ready to hand it over to you yet.
I guess just to summarize what we're trying to do is, we had some conversations with MMA Legal,
Yeah.
and what they're saying is, okay, what we asked was, is there a way to try to entice people to pay without taking them to court first?
Yeah.
And there said, and I noticed in their MMA's handbook that you can try to shame them into doing it by publishing their name in the newspaper. But their advice was, if you're gonna do one, do them all. And, treat everybody equally. And so I got looking through the list of unpaid taxes, and that's when I came up with this question is, who are these people that we're taxing, and what is it we're taxing?
Yeah.
In a number of instances, so.
Yep. So, what I do have, and I wanna put more documents behind them, so I'm not gonna let you have copies yet, but I'm more than happy to share what I got put together. So I went down through your list that you gave me. Number one, let's start off, what I have highlight here in orange, was points of interest, I guess. And I think Deb should be part of this conversation, because some of this falls back on her side of it. Actually, the collection side falls on her anyway.
Well, it's her job,
But, so you get on this list though, things that I'm researching, but you actually have a credit from, Canopco Incorporated. It looks like that, you have a 32-cent credit. That's not me. Mayetta, I guess I would sit here, again, that's between you and her. It was my understanding, maybe Wes can answer that, when the solar went in at Mayetta, I believe that there was like a total given before they got their permit to pay their back taxes, so I don't know why this got missed, or if it got missed.
Yeah.
They paid $38,000 back then.
So I'm not sure why you still have something on the book for them.
Yeah,
So again, I can give you a copy of this. That's a question for Deb, I'm not sure what's going on with that. Whistle Stop is the next one down here I have. So as many years as, and I got their whole property card here, as many years as we've been assessing them since we've been up here, they've never filed. We make an estimate, jump that estimate a little heavy, first couple of years when we first got here, well, please try to do the right thing, please.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's $230,000, at this point, and they came in and paid it. So with our estimate, they came in and paid it, and that tells me one thing, either we're really good and really close, so we haven't hit the number yet.
Yeah.
So, because they're not filing. And we need them to file, The thing is, if they were to reach out, in a situation like that, a good chunk of what they have would be reimbursable. The better program, we can educate them on that. Some of these other companies, the Betty program would be able to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
We need these people to reach out, but in this situation, with Whistle Stop, you owe them $12.15. They overpaid.
Okay.
That's how I'm reading this, looks like original tax, like you say, I don't know if there's interest or whatever, but $31.59, they paid $31.71.15 for some reason. So that could be the interest, and maybe you don't owe them anything, maybe it just needs to be reconciled. Same thing with our RCS LLC. It looks like they have an outstanding balance of 89 cents, that's bookkeeping. Sanborn Consultants.
who are they though?
Who's this?
RCS LLC.
Yeah, I got some answers, like I say, and I may not have them all for you. Where am I at? Good question. They just have never, I believe, they've ever filed. Yeah, non-compliant. Do they exist is the next question. Yep. So this is pulled off the internet. Doesn't always mean anything, but then I go one step if I can.
This organization currently operates in the fasteners, in bolt screws.
Listed in there with this person's name, phone number, and are they even in town? Yeah, we get them on the real estate, real property rolls. So, it's a situation where, if you're not running a business from your house and we're wrong, contact us.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, what I'm seeing out there
Yeah.
is real.
Yeah.
I also go to the Secretary of State website, so if they're actually filed as a corporation, I pull that information.
Yeah.
Especially if it shows they're in good standing, and then pay their $85
But they're paying the taxes,
with that.
they're paying?
Yeah, looks like,
Okay.
yeah.
Put their name in the paper then.
Well, that's kind of what my point was, and I can give you a copy of this, and it's not, I'm like, okay, I got a lot of colors on here, I'm not sure, you know, you guys are gonna be able to figure out what I'm doing here, but, yeah, the ones in orange, I mean, that really needs, I kind of labeled them. If you want, let's make this a preliminary discussion.
Okay.
And let me get better organized, and I'll come back. And I think, like I say, Deb should be in that conversation.
Yeah.
Where she's elected, and I think if you wanted your auditor, because, I don't wanna be the one telling you, write it off, let him do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll agree with him. You know, or whatever, but,
See, what we started with, though, was not this.
Yep.
But it was just a list of open accounts that were overdue.
Yeah, right.
And then, something like that here was in the house. He's taken a step further, actually.
well, some of them, you know, the reality is, some of them may very well be something we need to correct on the assessment side, could be.
Yeah.
You know, when we first started, we gotta go through, we do a drive-through, I'm prepping actually, send somebody up here and do a drive-through up and down the road, see what we can find for signs, businesses, whatever.
Yeah.
You're a little more difficult, because sometimes there's a home business and may not have a
It's all
sign,
other stuff.
in this day and age especially. So we check Facebook, we check, internet. Some of what we did to get started, a lot of it was internet, you know,
Yeah.
like, and you can't trust that. Right now, I'm gonna tell you, if you go on the internet, Thompson Auto Body LLC is still in business, it's been closed for 5 years.
Oh, yeah, they
That
don't
was-
update,
that'd be
yeah.
me, by the way. You know, so, you know, but the internet still shows, so we know that. But if you took it a step further, what I'm taking, check with Secretary of State, let's use my business for example.
Yeah.
I'm no longer in good standing, I haven't filed and paid my $85, and, you know, so I'm not a corporation in good standing.
That's a yearly
It's
thing,
closed,
you have to do that?
administratively dissolved, yep.
Okay.
So, that's why we do what we can, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be assessing them. Some of this, I would say, and I don't know what the answer is, so that's her, but like you got one here, Scientific Games, 2010, you know, that's long before us.
Yeah.
How's that, it's $23.35, I don't think you wanna take them to court, it's gonna cost you, you know, a lot more than that.
Right.
But my thing would be, that's now, for whatever reason, the account number changed, it used to be account number 29, it's now 43. Okay, they're current, we've been assessing them, and they've been paying.
Yeah, because I think they're a gaming machine at Whistle Stop.
Yep. So they've been paying, so maybe in this situation, if she was to send a bill to, I don't know what address she had for account 29, update it to the address 43, send them, hey, by the way, we got a past due bill, or whatever, however she wants to handle it, it's not my place. You may find they pay the $23.35,
Yeah.
or whatever. Again, the other part of that is, does personal property at times get written off by town
Oh,
management?
sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure every one of those is worth pursuing, but there's a number of them that are
Yeah, we have.
definitely worth it. Yeah.
And so let's go to that number one, that's probably worth it. So I do have some information, let's talk about Nature's Wilderness. So, I can get you more, because we've had abatement requests, we've had 706A, requests from the assessors, one of which you guys signed. I was gonna put all that together, sign copies, everything, that puts me into looking into other 3-ring binders that I wasn't into, so I didn't get it all. But as far as their assessment's concerned, when we first came on, Renee and I, and Wes actually was up there, we were allowed to go through that property and, do an inspection. So, whether things have changed or not, again, they need to contact, update, file a response, otherwise the assessment's valid, until proven otherwise. So, we've also gone down through, instead of putting, because I knew this was bubbling since we've been here, instead of saying, okay, well, non-compliant estimate, which you're gonna see on these, we went down through an itemized, because based off our inspection, we were able to pull photographs, we'll start here because this is the easy one, we were able to pull photographs way back when of what we were looking at, what the interior of some of these places look like, what the game room looks like, what's inside the game room.
Yeah.
So this is right off the internet. You know, this is them advertising way back, whether they had their, you know, a change of use permit or not.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if they were out there advertising, and, you know, the equipment was in the town, that's all I care about, to be honest with you.
So we have a list of equipment.
So based off that though, as well, I'm gonna walk you right through every step, you're absolutely gonna give me the answers. So this is based off our inspection at that time, back in fall 2018. So, did my best to stand up on top of that and count number of picnic tables.
Like a couple of those.
Yeah, piles and piles of picnic tables, okay, so, then we go down through, we got snow plow, building doesn't count for personal property, but, you know, just taking other pictures. You know, you get equipment in there, I just printed all the pictures, so I know what's in here.
Seed, fertilizer, yeah.
So then in these pictures, you're gonna see the dump trucks, things like that. Next year after that, he came in, the owner came in and registered different things. So I was told that, even though they didn't officially file, I was told that at the time by the manager of the property. And so I double checked with Deb, yep, these things are excise, we took them off the rolls. But there was a lot of equipment up there that if it's not registered, boats, kayaks, canoes, campers, whether it's still on site or not at this time, I don't know, chairs, tables, picnic tables, everything that's inside as well, which we can see going back to the pictures in here, refrigerators.
Yeah.
All of that's personal property. So what we did is where 2 years ago now, and have people working from home, get out of control here. Oh, here you go. I had one of my workers at home, I said, I got a good job for you. I said, here's what I need you to do, go through all these pictures, and I want you to sit here and itemize everything you can see out of that. Make me a list, which she made into an Excel spreadsheet.
Wow.
I said, once you got that list all the way down through, I want you to start searching on the internet, what does that sell for? And she was looking on the yard sale, she was looking used, so she was kind of looking at, if she couldn't find it new, then this is what it's gonna be, the best price we can come up with. And there's no depreciation on that, because you haven't told me what year it is. So as far as I'm concerned, everything's in there right now, 2019. So, yeah, I'm allowing it to depreciate since 2019, but we know 100% value as of 2019, that's where we started.
Yeah.
If you're not gonna comply, this is how we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And the thing would be, I guess, that I would also bring to your attention that I think she did a good job, I think she's pretty accurate, I looked it over, some of that can come off, cabins, things like that, we're hitting on the real property side, but she got $422,000, and we're only at 200, and I think it was 227.5. So, I think we're reasonable where we're at, again, file.
Yeah. Right.
Make my job easier. And a lot of this probably would qualify for betting.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Ben?
You guys.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Is the machinery taxable, property tax?
What machinery? What do you mean?
Backhoes, bulldozers?
If they're on the property, yep.
Because when we went up there 2 or 3 years ago, I pointed out a couple were leased and he owned the rest. But since he passed away and the children inherited, they sold it all. They don't have any.
That's great, they need to file. Yep. I'm not allowed on the property, so I can't verify, so they need to file or work with us.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll take care of it.
Yeah, I was pursued last year before commitment, and I said the same thing, file, and never got any response back. So we've done the same, it's been abatement request, it's been, that's fine, we sent 706 days, response, nothing, so. So we've done our best with that, I can put something together, if you get to that point, you let me know, we can.
well, the question is how we're gonna pursue it, and we might pursue some of them differently. We originally talked about that one going to the small claims court, and, this is something that we would need when we go to small claims court, is a list of what it is we're taxing.
Yep.
And,
That's great.
Which is the other reason why we itemized them, because that's been a conversation for years now.
Yeah.
But one of the things that Gary McNeil told us, he used to work for Dodge Oil, and he did this type of business. I thought he said that you can't tax a corporation, you can't identify a corporation, you have to identify an individual
Pursuing?
for suing small claims court.
Consult an attorney, I'm not an attorney.
So is there a,
I'll give it that again.
is there a, statute of limitations on these taxes?
Consult an attorney, I'm here for the testing side of it. I can tell you, that would be her collection side of it as well, but, I will answer that I've seen them keep them on the books for a long time,
Yeah.
you know, so, I've seen all kinds of things with personal property, yeah.
As long as you don't write them off, I guess.
So,
Good.
I'll pull that together, we'll get a little further down the road, I can grab up to. Touch base with Danielle when I'm ready, probably,
Okay.
might be next meeting.
So before we go out and do anything, rash with, names and papers and stuff, we'll get another,
I'm gonna take your list and probably separate it out too, and,
Yeah.
you know, try to say this is Deb's issues, it might just take, like I say, throw them a letter, and they may pay it.
Yeah.
You know,
well, that's what we did, is draft a letter first,
yeah,
Yeah.
but, like I say, I feel uneasy sending somebody a letter saying pay taxes, but if I didn't know what, where they are
yeah.
and what it is.
So some of the other questions is gonna come back to, I mean, like you brought up like the marijuana companies, things like that, we've got the best information we have. I will continue, and I think they both represented codes and planning, I need as much information as they're getting in their hands, I need it. You know,
Right.
I can't chase it, I don't have time to go read minutes, I need it in my hands.
Right.
Yeah. And we get a lot of stuff going on, solar wise, I got 2 revals going on, so, I mean, as much as, so that was a question, if I may ask Wes, though, that's kinda come up.
Go ahead.
Is, are you doing certificates of completion on solars or anything, is there anything like a permit of any kind that closes that out?
For the Maeda one, the Squatting Trail, I issued a certificate of occupancy.
Okay. So I gotta follow up, I haven't been up there to check, but
Okay.
I know there's another one down,
Down
the road,
yeah, River Road, they
Yeah.
have, their building is not completed.
Not
it's not
completed yet.
operational.
Okay. Yep.
And the other 3 are on paper.
Yeah, that's okay, thank you. Yeah, I got, I think 4 or
Yep.
5 thereabouts,
Yeah.
catch up on Gorham as well, so.
We have 5, and I've had an email and a possible one coming up, on Wards Hill Road, but might not happen this year.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that. Just popped in my head because we're talking solar, Tiff.
Yeah.
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 What are you doing, where are you at?
So, I talked to the, tip lady, what's her name?
Lisa.
And she said they're not gonna start construction this year. If they do, it will be next year. So if they're gonna apply for a TIF, they will do it sometime this year.
Okay.
And she talked about wanting to do it before town meeting. I said, well, town meeting's in May, and, you know, I think we're getting short on having a discussion of that type.
So you're still entertaining that idea then?
Well, entertain it. I mean, you know, it's for them to come to us and make the case.
Right.
And, I've explained that a number of times. You have to make the case. And so, but it's still there.
Okay, good. Good for the information.
Yeah.
Don't put personal property on it.
Yeah.
But other than that, that's pretty much all I've got. If I may, I'm just gonna look at this real quick,
Okay,
if there's
go
not
ahead,
something
yeah.
there I need to take back with me, but I think we're good. Actually, I wanna keep that, warrant. So Deb's busy, so what I did was just have her email me what was voted on, and I went through and just kinda tallied it up. Usually I like to have somebody else give it to me. I'll have her verify, just so that the numbers are what I've got from the town.
Yep.
Can I actually give you, do you want the backup? Do you want all this?
Yeah, so you can keep that, you can
I'll give you this.
just email it.
So,
Okay.
I got it, you can keep that, that's easy enough, so I'll give you that, the rest of this backup, 1, 3, 2, 8. Very good.
And did you get the stuff in your cubby?
No, where is it now? Oh, I see it, okay.
I don't know if there's anything there, but.
Okay, I'll look.
Well, thank you for the visit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Looks like we got more snow coming, I gotta put the plow on the truck.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
See ya.
We got a Carl Hoskins, Maine Animal Welfare, wants office space. Did he say how much office space?
He wants enough room for a desk and some storage for like animal crates, leashes, you know, the trap type of thing. Him and Ricky came in last week, and Carl Hoskins works for the state animal welfare, he lives in Bridgeton, his office is in Gray, he's looking for space, the state will not pay for space. Ricky said it would help him if Carl had a desk here, cause he could also use the desk if he had to write a report or something.
Right.
It would give Ricky access to the state supplies, so he wouldn't have to buy any more crates, or, because he's got a pile of leashes, a pile of crates and traps that would help me if I needed something, it would be right here. So, yeah, that's basically just a space for a desk and stack some trap stuff or whatever, and leashes, and he doesn't need a lot. But he's not gonna pay for, the state won't pay for space, so it's basically. He didn't know if, we looked at, the community center end, we looked at Wes's office, like in the corner. That's not really being used, and he said that's enough for him, just that little corner would be completely fine, so.
I was thinking more like, the old, town office, yeah,
We looked at that too, but which room would you be looking at?
I was thinking the town clerk's office, the old one.
That's a lot of storage stuff that we have in
I
there.
know we'd have to clean it out.
Well, there's also 2 rooms with gym equipment that doesn't get used either, so.
I know, that needs to be submit instructions on how to use that too. I think that.
I don't think anyone uses it, but.
Right, yeah, I don't care, if you want that little corner in there, that's his office.
We need to, I guess, talk to, Matt to make sure they're not gonna use it. I don't think they've made any effort. Have you made any effort to use the desk in there, Matt?
It's on my to-do list.
Okay.
We have to get caught up on the, filing and, clear the desk off and stuff.
Maybe spot in this room.
Up to you guys. I mean, we can move these tables and stuff, I mean,
Well, one place is for a desk, and then the rest is for storage of, traps and stuff. And the, I think the storage of traps and stuff can go back in the town office area.
Yeah.
But we need to come up with a desk for it, right?
There's an old wooden desk down there in the town office, in the old Selectmen's office, isn't it? The one I had for the fire department.
yeah, we got
Small-
desks every.
Small desk,
Would you want the desk in here, or?
yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Are these crates clean, sanitized before you bring them in, or is this an older problem as well?
To me.
No, as we progress, get worse and worse, those are the crates.
True.
Trash.
So they're gonna be clean? You
You
know?
can find out, I have no
Yeah.
idea.
What's that, Dwight?
I think we ought to ask them for something, not give it to them.
Yeah. What I was thinking was, maybe, he's allowing Ricky to have some of the equipment. I mean, it's kind of like a trade-off.
Yeah, I just don't think we ought to give it to them.
Okay, well, I guess we can talk about how you wanna come up with a reimbursement or a quid pro quo, if you wanna call it that.
Mm-hmm.
If you have any suggestions.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a
I
question?
mean, one is that we're not necessarily giving him anything, we're letting him use space, I guess, it's for a service that the town needs, right?
Right. That's what I was thinking too, yeah.
We also.
We've done the same thing for a police officer a while ago, remember, it was space set aside for him to come in and write reports and whatnot.
Yeah.
And Ricky said that would help him out, because if he does need a state response, it would be pretty much here.
Right.
So state would respond a lot quicker than normal.
So I guess, they're coming in with the position that they don't have money.
Yeah.
So the question is, what can they provide to us? And I guess that's something we can think about.
He was also, concerned with after-hour access. So basically, he would need a key and, the security code to get in on the weekend or at night.
Yeah, I'm okay with that, yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is this where you have your town meetings? These two rooms?
Telling, no.
What, do you do it out, I haven't been for.
Oh, no, we're down in the multipurpose.
Down,
room.
okay,
Yeah.
because at one time, you
Yes,
were doing it.
yes, before they,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
did the, Lynn down there, yeah, we did.
Okay, thank you.
All right, well, I guess we're not gonna decide right now, but I think maybe we should, think about, maybe there's a way that they can compensate
Yeah,
in
right.
some form.
Yeah, right, that's what I was thinking too. Maybe give a more detailed, Danielle, about, what they, we can offer. So I think it'd be a good idea to have them in the area. All right, moving on, we'll go with a lien release. We have a proclaimed deed, it came in and paid Jay Richardson's back taxes.
As I understand it, Danielle, this is one that we should have signed earlier, but
Yes, he paid everything, the title company contacted us, one lien was missed because he used so many aliases, that's just to clear the title.
so I think we should just sign it.
Yeah.
He doesn't owe any money.
We did have a bunch of aliens.
Meeting time, date and for poverty abatement discussion.
So, we wanna talk to the individual via telephone, because the individual doesn't wanna come in and expose themselves to COVID and whatnot.
Yeah.
Fine,
yeah.
Telephone is fine, I think, for our purposes as well.
Yeah.
So, we just need to set a time, so that Danielle can get her stashed up good. And I think if we all came to the town office here and sit down and with a speakerphone and whatnot, we
Yeah.
could all have a conversation. You available on Thursday?
Thursday, yep. Thursday's fine with me.
What time?
I can't make it on Thursday.
What day's good for you? Suggest a day?
Any day's fine with me.
I can do it tomorrow, but I got a doctor's appointment on Thursday.
We got staff meeting tomorrow.
We haven't set a time for that yet, I think.
I thought that would be 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna take up quite a bit of our time.
So if we do the staff meeting at 2, could we do this at 1 o'clock tomorrow?
I won't be here, I'll be working.
Oh, you won't?
I won't be here till
So
about
you're
2 o'clock.
2 is fine.
Yeah,
Friday?
Friday's okay with me.
Yeah, I'm okay with Friday too.
I guess it's Friday then.
At 2 o'clock?
Yep.
Okay.
Like, do you wanna be on the phone, we could do something, would you be more comfortable over the phone? We can have 2 phones going.
Do you wanna do it by phone?
Yeah.
For you?
I'm pretty much confined to the house
Yeah.
right now, so it's gonna have to be through the phone.
Okay.
We can rig something up, so we
Danielle
got
can rig
2 phones
something up.
going.
You don't have anything like conference call on this phone, do you?
I might, I'm not sure, we haven't used that yet. If not, we'll get him on my cell phone on speaker, we'll let her, yep.
Okay. Tri-town funds to be discussed. Voting to authorize funds from contingency reserve account.
So, you know, at the Tri-Town meeting the other night, we saw the boost up of the, operating costs.
Yeah.
And when you actually run the numbers, it's not 4%, which I thought we were talking about, it's more like an 18%.
Holy smoke.
You know, we went from 90,000 last year to 105,450 this year. And I'm not disputing that it's not needed because, we've seen the increase in, a lot of the costs.
Mm-hmm.
But what we're faced with is, two things. One is, we need to make these monthly payments to the Tri-Town account over there, and we only budgeted for 45,000, and what we need to have.
Deb said, don't look at that.
Why not?
I brought that over to her, and she said, no, we're not talking about that.
Why not?
She gave me this. This is what we need to take out.
Yeah, well, there's two things. So there's the monthly, operational budget that we have to pay.
Yeah.
And we only budgeted for, half of 90, which is 45,000, and according to this, what we're gonna need to pay is 52,725, which is, you know, half of our, we need to approve or to take payments from somewhere.
Right.
For that.
Yeah.
And then there's that piece right there, which is for the construction effort.
Yeah.
And that was 426689 or something like that.
Yeah.
Which comes out to a total of, I don't know, do the math real quick. But we need to approve something, I think, from the contingency reserve.
Yeah.
So,
So how much though? Is it
Well-
4266?
no, she's gonna have to pay this other bill.
Because this is what she gave me, this is for the construction,
I know it.
then
There's the monthly operating.
the operating. So that'll be two separate, and this came out of the,
That came out of the, what do we call it?
yeah.
It's the Tri-Town Reserve Account.
Reserve account, yeah, and that
And-
comes out of what we.
And so this, Terry had told us that we were gonna be charged 15,
Yeah.
but at the end of the year, and now she's issued a request for it early. And what Deb has said is she doesn't have that money, she's this amount short.
Right.
So then, we will vote to authorize her to pay that amount from the contingency reserve account.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I move that we authorize Deb to pay $4,266.89 on the contingency reserve account
I'll
for
second it.
the charges to the Tri-Town construction effort.
I'll second it. What do you say, Dwight?
No, I say we gotta pay it.
Yeah. Okay.
Bob, did they say why we're getting such an increase next year?
Yeah, we went through it all, it's all
Yeah.
documented there.
I didn't get the budget pages.
I didn't bring it with me, did I, either, but, you know, there's a whole package here for you, Dwight, I don't think we could send it on to you.
Have Connie pick it up when he picks up his chat.
Yeah. But,
Yeah, 'cause I'm going into this a little blind right here, but
Yeah.
your $4,000, I think we gotta pay that anyway, so
yeah,
we gotta have that contingency.
Right,
that's just a technical issue, and we'll
Yeah.
have to correct that the next time.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the other one, I mean, Deb can wait, you know, we don't need to, authorize her the last $7,725. It will happen in June though, she'll come up short. So we can wait till that time,
Yeah.
but it will happen.
Okay, all right.
So we're about $12,000 short then.
Yeah, 12,
Yeah,
almost 13.
Yeah.
As I say, it's a technical issue on this first $4,200 because, we'll pick it up on the other half. It's just the fact that they're,
Yeah, I say we gotta pay it.
well, we do. So, okay, well, we've done what we need to right now, we'll catch the rest of it later.
yeah. So, you got that, Danielle, we approved that?
Yep.
Okay. Alrighty, oh, let's see. Personnel ordinance. We're gonna have a meeting on that tomorrow.
Yeah. There's another number of issues, and I think I stirred it up last week with a discussion about, vacation time, and, we need to somehow, I think at some point, roll in, some accommodation for, the active kids program, because there's a different type of activity going on there than we have in any other
Right, yeah.
operation.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I got some.
We've got the
questions on
issue
that.
about the, closure, who calls for closure and what conditions.
Yeah. That and the on-call.
The on-call question.
Right. There's another question about overtime too, I just caught it, about firemen, why are they paid overtime after 42 hours and not 40?
I don't know, but that was, something that carried over from the last time, and maybe Bruce could.
I have no idea, it's the first I heard of that.
That's right.
I don't know how you get 40 hours in.
I was thinking too, yeah, that'd be awful.
You've had 40 hours.
Well, I have 40 hours, but I still don't get paid for it.
I don't know if there's a state statute or what, but that was.
Yeah.
I'll have to go look in the other ordinance, because some of this stuff was carryover.
It's the first I've heard of anything like that.
I think,
Well, it's like, some truck drivers don't get paid overtime till after 45 hours.
true.
Well, whatever, we'll look into it.
So tomorrow at 2, all the full-time employees.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And we've got Formentary Treatment System Transfer Responsibility Agreement.
All right, that's what that is.
We're still knocking.
I don't know, Dwight, have you read my draft email on that?
On the water system?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I read that, I agree with that.
Okay, well, essentially what I was, according to Danielle, they didn't send us a letter, they sent us an email with a coded thing, and then, so I guess we'll send them a reply email saying, we don't agree with your code agreement.
yeah,
But we are taking over, responsibility for the, water filtration system.
so we
And
don't,
that's the gist of the email, and if you guys agree, then I'll push the button on it and send it out.
I agree.
I agree,
Okay,
we all agree.
yeah,
Okay.
good. All right, so we don't sign this now, or anything, we don't sign anything yet?
We don't sign the code agreement.
Okay.
That's what we're telling them.
Okay,
We ain't
we
gonna
don't
sign
sign
it.
it at all, yeah.
Because that says we don't need it.
I
and we don't agree.
Right. Okay. Reminders, Thursday, January 27th is planning board meeting at 7 p.m. Saturday, January 29th, town office will be open 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Is it fair to say, depending on the weather? Supposed to get a bruiser this weekend.
I think Deb's working that Saturday.
Yeah. She said something that driveway wasn't plowed, she wouldn't be able to be open,
Yep.
so. Mary, you got anything tonight?
No, not really. I'm just a little concerned about, I just am wondering about how many solar farms are we gonna let into this town?
Well, I don't know, good question for the planning board.
Yeah, I just, it just seems like every time I come, you're talking about another one.
Another one, yeah.
And, I question whether it's gonna deteriorate the value of property if you have one next to your house. And concerns about some of the poisons that are in these panels, how we're gonna take care of them later on. I'm also concerned about the fact that from what I understand, a good portion of the money that's going into these is coming from my tax dollars that I'm paying to the federal government. And I'm really concerned about the way my federal government is spending my money right now.
I think the state had a lot to do with that.
Yeah, but that's all the same thing. I mean,
So
I'm not
what
concerned about how you guys spend my money.
Right.
You guys are doing a great job. Don't get me wrong.
Thank you.
I'm just a little concerned about how the money that I'm paying into as my state and my federal taxes are being spent. I'm very concerned about
Right,
it.
yeah, right.
So I guess it's go to a planning board meeting.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
I think the planning board does a good job of regulating them.
I don't question
Yeah,
that, you know.
As far as the chemicals that are in them, how they're gonna be disposed of. They have to have a bond, don't they?
Right, the DEP, Maine DEP, has very, very strict controls. In fact, they just came out with a new piece of legislation that controls exactly how everything has to be disposed of at the end of its useful life. And so we look at them pretty closely. We haven't had any concerns about chemicals leaching into the soils or anything like that. All these are monitored 24/7. If there's any panel breakage or anything like that, they come out and clean up. And some of the older panels did have some problems, but none of the types of panels that they're using for the ones that are being put into Baldwin have given us any cause for concern. But I appreciate your comment.
Well, that's one of my concerns. That is one of my concerns, but that's not the only one.
Yeah. Well, I have one going in right next to me too, so I share your thoughts about impact on property value and stuff.
Yeah, and quite frankly, they're not really pretty.
Yeah.
And I don't like it that my tax dollars are all being, I realize that you're getting some money out of this, but it's ultimately coming from all of us, where this money is coming from, because we're spending it on our federal taxes and state taxes, so that's another major concern I have as well. So anyway, it's just something I brought up. You asked. I brought it up.
Yeah. Matt, what do you got?
Try and give you a quick update on our kind of joint initiative on the updating the comprehensive plan. We got the new statement of interest, for, updating the, Baldwin Comprehensive Plan on the MMA website. You know, we'll see what comes in on that, and Bob, I called Lee J today from SMP in DC, and he called me back, and you were exactly right. You know, they, when he said he wasn't gonna bid on this new one, he didn't mean he wouldn't do the work for us. He was very clear. He said, we don't have time to do these nice fancy PowerPoint proposals that for-profit companies will do that may respond to what's posted on the MMA site. One of the things that, one of the reasons they don't do that is because we don't have to put out a competitive bid to have them do work for us, because we pay dues, and they actually have money that's budgeted to them by the state for them to do certain things for us.
Okay.
So they're ready, willing, and able to help us with the comprehensive plan once we get to the point where we decide whether we want to use them, or if we find, you know, if we find somebody else, that's fine. So that's all going well. I guess the thing that I sent some emails about that really kind of startled me was that in December, the legislature completed a final report from the Commission to Increase Housing Opportunities in Maine by Studying Zoning and Land Use Restrictions. So their final report came out in December, and I read the executive summary, and it has 9 recommendations. The first recommendation is allow accessory dwelling units by right in all zoning districts currently zoned for single-family homes. Tiny houses, that's what Wes has been telling us about. Recommendation number 2, I labeled this one every lot as a subdivision, because recommendation number 2 says, eliminate single-family zoning restrictions in all residential zones across the state by allowing up to 4 residential units on all lots.
Wow.
You know, and number 3's a real kicker too. Recommendation number 3 is prohibit municipal growth caps on the production of new housing.
So we can't.
So this, you know, now these aren't legislation yet, but recommendation number 1 already became legislation, so these will, people will probably, you know, put these up for legislation, and if that happens, because they're doing everything they can to create housing opportunities for people in Maine, and, you know, if these things became legislation, we would, you know, pretty much lose our ability to control the density of housing and the population levels in Baldwin. So, you know, I guess the MMA will guide us on this. I sent this out to everybody, and then I sent a separate email. This is a huge file, you know, 30 megs, 300 pages.
Wow.
But folks can download it from the iCloud with the link that I put on it.
Okay.
You know, it really caught my attention because I was talking with Wes, we were emailing back and forth on Monday, and I know we hit our growth cap of 15 last October for 2021, and you think you might hit it in April or so of this
2
year.
years ago, we hit 15 in December. Last year, we hit 15 the first week of August. Right now, I have 7.
Right.
I think those will top out by April.
Yeah. So, and one of the things I talked about with Lee J is that, you know, when we do the update of the Baldwin Comprehensive Plan, you know, the section on community goals and policies and implementation strategies will be very important, because that feeds right into what we want our growth ordinance to be, and whether we want to make any changes to our land use ordinance and things. But I guess, you know, that will be, if we're even allowed to have a growth ordinance in the future.
The caveat I would say is that this is an election year. And if one side's pushing to open up the housing market, the other side is gonna be against it. And so, this is not gonna sail through in its current recommended form, I can guarantee you.
But that's a great perspective, and I hope it comes true. We, you know, we should probably touch base with the MMA and see what they're thinking about this and what they're doing to fight it. Because some of these recommendations are just.
Is there something we can do in the meantime to maybe drop a letter to our representatives, say how much this is gonna, you know, impact Baldwin?
Right.
You know.
But then they take away the growth cap and allow for a 4-unit housing building on every available lot.
Yeah.
You know, my concern was, you know, very much for Bruce and the EMTs and things like that, because you get, you know, population burden that'll quickly outstrip our ability to address it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so quick update there, but I'm looking forward to being able to pull the trigger with some kind of a resource, so we can get going on updating our comprehensive plan.
Okay. Is that all you have? Best day.
What's that?
It's been a while. Seen you in a while.
Busy.
Good. Bruce, what do you got?
So,
Nothing?
no, I guess basically nothing, we're still moving forward with the study, and
Study, yeah.
I've got one more thing right now. When I get out of here, I'll send an email tonight, so when we wake up tomorrow morning, we can wait for it. He's been keeping me busy this week.
Yeah, sure.
I gotta say that I don't know who's working harder on this study, Bruce or Neil.
I'm not sure either.
There's a lot of work on it there.
Chad, you got anything? Russ?
Yeah, I've got that issue.
Just to start, we do not have an answer from Mr. Demers on the tiny home question.
Yeah, right, yeah, that's right.
This is, I had a letter on my desk when I came Friday from Jennifer Thomas, an attorney who's dealing with this subdivision possibility on Birch Road, on Birch Road. So she sent a wonderful letter and all the deeds in chronological order and on, and it worked out very well. And there was a flurry of emails, and your second response was right on target. So I crafted a letter to send to her to say it's not a subdivision, and I need approval on the letter. But before you read that, I also I sketched out a map that I want to discuss with you that will explain the whole situation.
the board talk about that? No.
We've
That
never.
was a,
I don't think it's really different for us.
okay, map. Off the top of the map, it says original mother lot number 25, 55 acres. That's how it started back in 1992. Nancy and Ward Fitch purchased it. They also have a daughter, Jada Fitch. So they had it for about 10 years. And they sold a chunk, lot 25A to Kurt Christensen, about 7.5 acres. Then the following year, they gave 40 acres to Jada Fitch, daughter. That's a blood relative, so it was a gift, and it's exempt, doesn't count. So the balance of land, 25B, is what's left over, and that's the original mother lot shrunk down to the size of lot 25B. So when they gave Jada Fitch that 40 acres in April of 2003, and then the following month in May 2003, that balance of mother lot they sold to Christensen. So with the 40 acres gone out of the picture, there's only been one division made and 2 lots made, and both were sold to Christensen.
Yeah.
Then time went by, then Jada in October of 2016, which is another 13 years later, which the 13 years doesn't enter the picture because it's a separate piece of land that was gifted. She sold a chunk to Johnson, and that's all that's happened. And this arose because the title company, she's trying to divide a 4th lot, the lot 25D, and sell it. But the title company saying, whoa, this looks like a subdivision, so we're straightening it out now. So actually, no subdivision has evolved. The 2 lots, the lot that Jada sold in 2016, and the lot now that's pending a sale in 2022 is 6 years later, so she's lived up to the 5-year rule. And the letter explains all what I just said. Does it sound logical?
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, we've been taking it a little step further. That lot 25B, which was the balance leftover land as a mother lot, was sold to Christensen, which is in the butter. And a butter's selling a piece of lot to a butter is exempt also.
Yeah. I know.
Okay.
The reason it looked bad at first because of the way I think it's the way the deed was titled, is that it made it look like he continued to own this. It was called
Let me show you something else that's interesting.
that was confusing.
That 25C, that lot sold to Johnson, never showed up on the map. Here's segments of the 2016 lot, the land with the mother lot, and the 2020, we have, we have 40 acres here, and we have 32 acres there. They subtracted the 8 acres, but they never drew the line from the lot.
The question is, are we taxing somebody?
Never on the map.
We are.
Yeah.
And Johnson, who bought it, got a permit for me to put a driveway in. And I kept on looking, I've never found a driveway, he's never done it. And I said, boy, he's got 25, 30 acres there, no driveway, but it's only 7 acres, and I never knew it. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's good.
All right, Daniel, you got anything?
So, you know, I
Send your letter.
I need an approval to send a letter? Okay.
Got anything? Anything else, Bob?
Yeah, I got this, I'm pointing at it too. There's a webinar on ARPA, what's next for municipalities. They're gonna talk about
Oh, yeah.
things. I how we spend the money, how we can't. If nobody else wants to attend it, I'll attend it.
Okay.
Could you,
Yeah, I didn't get that email from you.
maybe I'll forward it to you.
Yeah, just forward it to me, I'll send it.
It's in March, we got it.
You got anything, Dwight?
Well, I don't know, it's gonna be interesting to see the legislature session this year, on some of the bills that they get going on tiny homes,
Yeah.
accessory dwellings, growth permits. You know, they wanna eliminate capping growth permits, there's a bill to do that. So I'm just wondering if this is why this Demers guy isn't getting back to us quick enough.
Could be. Yeah.
They could be just ignoring us.
Well,
You know, to a degree, that question pretty much was, how would I say it, a stupid question. Because you can read what the what the statute says. And it says, you gotta do it. And, so I don't know why he hasn't answered it. Maybe he's inundated with the question.
if I can add a little something to it, it's a little premature, but we can go on the assumption, most of the tiny homes are gonna go on land that the parents own. So it's a relative, and it's exempt from growth.
Yeah.
So, but you're right, Dwight, there's a lot of stuff in the mix. Again, I'm counting on, it being an election year, that a lot of these things are gonna go much harder than they would have last year.
I hope you're right.
Yeah.
I don't wanna see us get turned into a Westbrook.
Right. Yeah.
No, could be worse than that.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important that we get our planning program going, because my experience in other parts of the country that have been, inundated with money to build homes and businesses is that those parts of the districts surrounding that had a good plan for, how you, zone things, and, how things are getting paid for, whatnot, you know, then they did very well with it. And, for those areas that were pretty much just open the door, it got to be a real mess. You know, strip malls and houses interspersed with business districts and stuff that were just nasty looking. But if you do it right, you know, but it takes some planning to do it ahead, I think, and that's why it's starting. Now, if you look at what that report says, is they're gonna give the communities time to kind of absorb this, and, perhaps some money to help absorb it, and do it right, so I think what does come out of it, maybe not quite as drastic as we think, and for those that we really find hard to swallow, they're gonna help us somehow do our best with it, so.
What scares me just a little bit is our location with crime right now. I mean, we're 30 minutes from Portland, we don't have the congestion that Portland, Gorham, Westbrook has, but we got plenty of land.
Yeah, you're right.
And we're seeing a lot of these large tracts of land being sold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're talking about putting a new bypass in too.
Would you rather have a solar farm next to you, or would you rather have a housing development?
Solar farm.
I just caught on a deed last week of the Sand Pond subdivision. In all the deeds, there's a covenant that the residential house has to be at least 1,000 square feet. What do you do about tiny home? Not allowed, not allowed.
I don't think anyone can live in a tiny home in the state of Maine in the wintertime. I really don't. I mean, how are you gonna do it? you have no, I mean, are they gonna put a foundation under it?
Some of it.
A slab, yeah.
Wow, even a
Put a base
slab?
under it.
Yeah, right.
Put a base on it.
Wow, I just find it hard to believe, honestly. It'd be just, I'd feel like I was in a cave, I guess, or
And in
like,
theory, you can put a second floor on, right?
Yeah.
Pardon?
You can put a second floor on a tiny home.
I thought it'd be a certain size. Square feet.
You gotta
The
stay
footprint,
legal
the
height.
footprint has to
You can't
be
be more than
no
13
larger,
high.
like,
Go ahead.
the footprint, which is basically the first floor, can't be any larger than 400 square feet. But in the tiny home, it's written that you can have a loft. So I'm assuming that you could make a second floor up to 200 feet, so that there's no more than 598 square feet, because once it gets to 600 square feet, then it's a primary house, as according to the Baldwin ordinance. So you could have a small second floor. Also, the 400 feet, living space is a heated area. Not every living space has a heated area, so decks and garages and sheds don't count. So you get down the south, a lot of these tiny homes
Yeah.
have humongous
Yeah,
decks.
I can see that
You know,
down south, yeah, I
and
can see it down
And you
south.
can live outside for 3 seasons and
Yeah.
whatnot, so it's not too bad. So
Yeah.
there are loopholes.
Yeah, I can see being able to do it down south, but I just question about Maine, it's like,
The real restriction on the 400 feet is when a tiny home is on wheels.
yeah,
And because the restriction is what can you take on the road. And on the road, I believe it's something like, can't be any wider than 8.5 feet, and can't be any longer than 45 feet. And that's just about 400 square feet.
And that's all.
Get it more, what, 13 feet high?
But if you can make this tiny home a fixed home, you know, on a slab or on piers or whatnot, or in fact, it could still be on wheels, but if it's attached to a septic system or a CMP utility pole, electricity, it becomes a fixed home. And a whole new can of worms opened up as restrictions.
Be interesting. Anything else, Dwight?
No, that's it for me tonight.
Hey, Dwight, why don't you move that we adjourn?
What's that?
Why don't you move that we adjourn?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Get Daniel.
I'll second it. All in favor? All righty.
Thanks, Dwight.
Good, Dwight.
thank you
Yeah,
guys,
thank you.
thank you guys.
Thank you.
I asked Danielle to put you on the agenda